How we all doing? Good. Good to see everybody. So, in terms of going back to Chicago and playing with our fellows there and all the guys, we're keeping the process in our preparation the same as we always do, and I'm always grateful, and have much gratitude for my whole coaching career. So I always look back at everything, how you can learn, how you can grow. And get better and improve. And that's the biggest part of experience. And that's what we're doing there. And then in terms of last week, we got to play better team defense. We all got to be on the same page. We got to do a good job of alignment, assignment, key technique, and playing clean football. There was some definite spots in there in terms of how we executed last week where we did some really good things. In the run game, obviously the big interception at the end, making some adjustments. And really proud of the guys of how they gritted it out and hung together in there, in some spots that was, kind of a back and forth day, So I know exciting win for the Cowboys and excited that we, pulled it out at the end. Dono had that wonderful interception, and we made some nice stops there in overtime. So with that, I'll open up to questions.
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. What did you learn from your time in Chicago?
Yeah, when you become a head coach, it's a different job, right? So you learn a lot of things. So a lot of things that you didn't do as an assistant, as a coordinator. But again, I'll just say that the experiences there is certainly, I cherish all those.
It's like there's always something going on up there, whether it's people questioning game management, assistant coaches leaving. There's always something going on. How did you kind of manage those things?
Yeah, again, that's part of being a head coach. That's what it is. You're always going to get questioned on certain decisions, and you got to put your best foot forward there.
Matt Todd with ESPN. As you look back, do you dread this week because this is coming with all these questions and stuff?
No. I look at it as one opportunity for us to be able to go out there and really execute. And it's game 3, and it's important that we need to improve. And everybody needs to improve. Throughout the league, everybody has issue here and there early in the season that they got to improve on, and that's what we're looking to do.
And then, from the time off, what did you do? Did you get away from football? Did you go somewhere? How did you clean your mind?
In the time off, obviously, with my girls being home there, I told the ladies it's the first time your dad had December off in 34 years of coaching. I said, so 2 things are going to happen. I said, we're going to get closer together and we're going to get closer to the Lord. And to me, we accomplished those two things, and it was a good time with the family. So,
was there a time where you just wanted to not get back into it right away? Like Dan Quinn and McCarthy both talked about taking that year off really kind of benefited them. Did you ever
I think you reflect and see what you want to do, and it didn't take long for me to figure out I want to get back in, and that's an important thing. And I love coaching the players. I love working with the players, and that's something that I've always loved to do, and I wanted to get back in.
John Machota with The Athletic. What did you think of your time with Caleb Williams, and then what have you seen from him on the 2 games this year?
Yeah, like I said, I really cherish the whole time that I was there and my whole coaching experience. And then, for Caleb, really it's just working through the process of his second year. Working through the timing and the rhythm of that offense, and you can see that going forward, game 1, game 2, game 3, and that's where it is.
And then when we talked to Brian, he talked about on some of those explosive plays how they're not major things that needed to be cleaned up, that there's small things here or there. I guess for people when you watch it, you might think that it's a major problem because there were so many. Is it minor things, and how do you get it fixed?
Yeah, I think when it's when you give up big plays, I don't think they're minor. Those are major things, and we have to do a better job of all 11 players, including the coaches, executing on a certain play, this play, that play, whatever it might be. But you have to execute. And, again, that's coaches and players.
Joe Hoyt, Dallas Morning News. You talked about the reflection period. How did you reflect? Did you pray? Did you meditate? Did you do anything like that? And what was the moment that really kind of sold you and said, hey, I do want to get back into this right away?
Yeah, prayer and meditation is big in everybody's life, so I think that's important, of course. But I do think that you do have time to reflect. and reflect on what you could do better, what you learn from the experience. And I've done that everywhere I went. If I was a defensive coordinator, at the Colts or the head coach of the Bears, you reflect on those things, how you can improve. You learn and you grow and you get better from the experience.
Was there a moment where you said, "Hey, I do want to go back"?
Oh yeah. It wasn't long. It was about a couple weeks. It's a couple weeks. I took a couple weeks, and it was like, yeah, I want to get back in.
Nick Harris, for Star Telegram. Brian's talked a lot about the communication piece in the secondary. What have y'all been able to work on this week, whether it be through walkthrough or during practices, that really help kind of emphasize that communication?
Yeah, just when you're at home, it's loud. It was our first time, playing together in there. So I think it's important that we do a great job with subtle hand signals and a good way to communicate, so everybody's on the same page.
And Jalen Johnson's not playing, but what can you appreciate about the Chicago secondary and the pieces that they still have there?
Yeah, the guys in the secondary, Kyler Gordon is a definite a playmaker, and he does a really good job. And they got some good pieces back there, and always love working with the players there. And they bought into the system, and they played some good ball.
Tommy Arsh, DallasCowboys.com. When it comes to fixing communication on the back end of defenses, is it as easy as it sounds, or what goes into that process? Is it over communication? Is it meeting room things? Is it walkthroughs? What goes into that?
Yeah, I mean, you answered it right. It's it's everything, because I think when you look at players over the years, everybody learns a different way. Some guys learn, you show them the diagrams and, oh, I got it, right? And then some guys have to do it on the field. So, but the biggest thing for us is the walkthroughs and the practice, because that's functional intelligence, functional execution. And I think that's the most important thing. That's the feedback for the coaches to really see that, hey, these guys can execute this call. These guys are good with this, and they feel comfortable and confident in it.
Garrett Podell, CBS Sports. Matt, Trayvon Diggs' snap count basically doubled from week 1 to week 2, and Brian said on Monday essentially has no restrictions. What have you seen from his play through 2 games this year?
Yeah, so he's just getting back into it, and the thing about Trayvon is he hasn't, didn't go through training camp, so this is basically his period where he's learning the defense. And again, it comes on to the functional ability to be able to execute on the field, and it's time on task. So we're working with him extra in the mornings to get him up to speed, getting as many reps as we can during practice, and then coaching him up in between when the offense is up there. But it's all the above.
And real quick, Kyer Elam, so there's a stat like pass yards attributed to someone who's given up in coverage, and Kyer Elam has given up the most according to NFL Pro. What do you think of that stat, and is that valid for that attribution?
Yeah, I don't look at that. Kyer's played well. He's tackled well. He's done a good job. He's going to continue to improve. I like where Kyer's at.
Hey, Flukes. Patrick Walker, DallasCowboys.com. This is our first time speaking to you since Jadeveon Clowney officially signed onto the team. So, 2-part question. First part is, and I see your smile creeping up thinking about Clowney. Just talk about, through your eyes, why Jadeveon Clowney and why right now?
Yeah, anytime you can add pass rushers, I'm all in. So if you say those 2 words, pass rusher, I say yes. So to me, it's about adding another piece. We're going to need everybody on our roster during the course of the year. We're going to have some injuries here and there that are going to creep up, and we got to have guys step in. That is a fine in a team meeting. So just adding him is really good. And then he's been a joy to work with the last few days, and he's buying into Shadi's culture, and it's going to be exciting.
Second part of that is Jadeveon said one of the key drivers in his interest was when you guys acquired Kenny Clark, and he had nothing but praise for just that rotation with Osa, Solly, and Kenny Clark. What does it mean to you to have a veteran coming in with his ability and his mentorship, but still be so excited that he sees that acquisition and then gets on the phone with his agents and says, figure out how to get me to Dallas?
Yeah, he is excited. He really is. He's excited about getting going, and on the field, and obviously having Kenny Clark in there and Solly and Osa and all those experienced guys at the D-line really helps us. And those guys are going to learn and grow like the rest of our unit as we go forward. But adding him has been great.
Ed Werder, WFAA.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are you? Shadi said that you have unique knowledge about this week's opponent because of your recent experience there, and he had you come in and address the offensive coaches. What of value do you think you were able to share as far as Chicago's personnel and their strengths and weaknesses?
I think it's important to do with every opponent, and because we have several coaches there that were there last year, and he's talking to everybody about it. Strengths, weaknesses, where we can gain an advantage, and just gathering information, about different things. So that to me is always important. We do that every single week. If a guy was with a player, we ask strengths, weaknesses, and have him talk to the offense or defense. That's important.
Hey Matt, Jeff Cole with Fox Sports Dallas. Going back to last Thanksgiving, the way things ended in Chicago, you talked about your 34 years in coaching and how different that was to have that time off. Was that the hardest moment of your career?
Yeah, there's always been there's always hard moments, in coaching. You always are disappointed when you lose, and because you put so much into it. The players put so much into it, and you're most disappointed for the players. And and then once that settles in and you work to the next day, the sun comes up and you move forward. You learn, you grow, and you keep going. And that's what true grit is, right? And that's what we're all about.
You talk about learning from that. What did you learn?
Yeah, a lot of things. I could list a lot of things that I learned. But the biggest thing is that you got to be able to communicate well and do a good job there with everybody that's working.
Have you reimagined yourself at all? Like Quinn talked about, like he went and looked at his scheme and things that he had to change because he felt Seattle and Atlanta, he kind of, hey, this is everybody known for this, and he came back a little bit different. Have you done that as well?
Yeah, I do that every year. You have to. You come up with different aspects of your scheme that you need to improve, but it also comes down to the players you have available to you. I think that's important, that you got to really move your scheme to the players that you have that particular week. So we got to do that and do that better. And so that's what we're always doing, but I always do that every single year. You take a hard evaluation, you do your self-scout, and then you look to move forward and what concepts you're going to put in and how you're going to be better next year.
What do you think the reaction is going to be Sunday?
I haven't thought about it.
Calvin.
Play zone about, I guess, we 95% of the time. Any thought of maybe we should play man a little bit more?
Yeah, again, it's about player availability, and it's really about what we, about the opponent. What you think is going to work against the opponent, and certainly we have those concepts in, and we're going to use concepts that we like, that fit the players, and what we can execute well.
And a guy like Clowney, obviously, someone else might get reduced snaps. How do you kind of manage some of those types of things?
It's a rotational deal, right? You guys can see how we're rotating the D-line. Some guys got 40 plays, 42 plays. Some guys got 20 plays. Some guys got 16. So it's a management thing. And we'll see where his conditioning level is and see where he goes.
Experience taught you lessons from your time in Chicago, but it also gives you lessons you can share. I'm assuming Brian Schottenheimer being a first-time head coach. What was your biggest lesson coming from your experience as a first-time head coach for Brian?
I would just say that, when you look back at everything in your life, that you should have gratitude, right? And you should be grateful for the experience. Because if it's a great experience, a lot of times people don't learn much from that. You learn some things, but when you have adversity, I think that's when you learn. So, and I do that in every aspect of my life.
Finish up with Nick.
James Houston has the highest pressure rate on this team. And,
Yes, he does.
There's limited.
It's a hell of a week last week, right? 16 plays and a sack and a couple pressures.
Yeah, I'm just curious of your overall evaluation on James Houston and, adding a defensive end.
Yeah, I love his energy. I love where he is in terms of the mental aspect of the game, and he's a worker. And I'm excited about where he's going to go in the future.
And then with Donovan Wilson and in previous years, we haven't necessarily seen him as a one-high type guy. On that 4th and 4 play, he was that one-high that was toward the field safety. What do you appreciate him as a one-high type guy, and what was kind of the communication with him and being able to?
Yeah, Donovan's been great for us, and Donovan can play. He can play down. He can play back. You just got to, really do a good job with, the whole space and then understanding space, and he's doing a good job with that. And we're excited about Dono. He's our captain. He's one of our leaders, and he's a hell of a pro.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you guys.